International English Language Test, which is Ielts or TOEFL, it's something that you know people don't really want to engage in. For two reasons. One, because it's expensive. Two, because there's no guarantee you are going to have the minimum score required by your university or the program. So it's really challenging, especially if you've studied in English from kindergarten to university level. Yes, it is. But some universities tend to focus more on students from Australia, the USA, UK, Canada, and some even South Africa. All right, when it comes to exemption from this international English language test, because they believe that these countries are English speaking countries. But if you're from Cameroon, for example, and you're from the English speaking part of Cameroon, which means you studied in English all your life, from kindergarten right up to the university level, and you are still required to write the international English language test in order to come study in English. It doesn't make sense, right? But they follow these procedures, and also the country's first language or national language. Same for Nigeria, which is something I really found out because Nigeria, it's English. So why will you be demanding that a Nigerian or potential Nigerian student in your university should write the international English language test to prove his or her English proficiency? Come on, like this is your national language. So for Cameroon, I always say maybe, because some people always like that's the first impression, like, oh, you're from Cameroon, so you speak French. I understand. But when we're talking about Nigeria, I don't know what to say. Anyways, I want to talk about some of the programs or universities that do not require you to write the international English language test. This is very important because, like I mentioned, the financial aspect of it is really huge, and you're not so sure because I don't think this is a true test of knowledge, even because when it comes to this international English language test, it's like if you don't manage your time well, there's a high possibility you fail. But that doesn't mean you are not a good or a native or near native English language speaker. Anyways, I don't want to go deep into that. So I really want to talk about University of Eastern Finland because this is something new. I think I saw this last year. In University of Eastern Finland, there are some programs that do not require students from Nigeria to write the international English language test. Like I mentioned, if you are from Nigeria and you are here, and I know majority of you here are from Nigeria, please consider University of Eastern Finland. This is not a paid promotion. I just would like to, talk about things that benefit my people. Yeah. So please stick, like, try to go through University of Eastern Finland because they have a good, very good partnership and collaboration with Nigeria. So they are interested in Nigerian students coming, and they are trying to make things easy for them. So there are some programs that, like, if you're a Nigerian, you won't be required to write the international English language test, which I think is really good. It is really good because for me, I always say Nigerians, they do deserve this because come on now, this is English. This is an English speaking country. Okay, so as of now, University of Eastern Finland is the only university. I'm not talking about University of Applied Science. The only university that I'm aware of. Okay, I am aware. I know that some Nigerian students can apply without the international English language test. Now, apart from universities, University of Applied Science. So we are coming. If you are coming to study in a University of Applied Science, you are not required to write the international English language test. So which means you apply like you normally apply during the joint application, and you take the entrance exam. They are gonna evaluate your English proficiency through the entrance exam and also the interview. So you don't need to write the international English language test. So to answer the questions, are there programs that I can apply to without the international English language test. There are tons of programs, like there are so many programs. When you apply for a bachelor degree in a University of Applied Science, you don't need to write the international English language test. There are some master programs as well that do not require you to write the international English language test. Now you may be asking why, even with the masters. It's because with this master, with these programs, they require you to have at least 2 years work experience in that field. So, for example, if I want to study master like an MBA program, I already had a bachelor's in business and I've worked in the business field for 2 years and my working language is English. I studied my bachelor in English. I worked in English. So I do not require, there's no need for me to go and be taking writing a test to prove my English proficiency. So it makes sense, right? With master's program in university, it's different, completely different, in the sense that there are some students who studied in their local language, like it's not necessarily English, and so you are required to write the international English language test so that you'll be able to prove your English proficiency. But if you are from um, Australia, and all these other countries that they normally do exclude. Or if you've studied in like a bachelor or master's degree already in Finland in English, then you don't have to write the international English language test. But unfortunately, there are like 90% of African countries are required to um, write this international English language test because of their national languages and other reasons that is known to them. Because at times I don't really understand why some countries, like I mentioned Nigeria earlier, have to go through this process. Meanwhile, they've studied in English all their lives. I don't know why. Like someone will ask me to go write the international English language test. Why? I've been studying in English. So, but that's just a procedure. And when it's written that you need to show your proof of English or proof of language, you need to write it. There is no way about it. That's the thing. But if your country is among the countries that are excluded or exempted, then good for you. You don't need to write the test. With the vocational schools, unfortunately, you need to write the international English language test. You need to write Ielts or TOEFL. You need it. VAMIA requires you to have it. It's just that with the vocational schools, the minimum scores are not that high. If you want to come study a master's degree in a university, obviously some programs require you to have 6.5, some require you to have 6. But with VAMIA, you can have 5.5, and they also consider Duolingo. So you don't necessarily need to write the IELTS or TOEFL. You can do the Duolingo. Duolingo is cheaper. So I'll advise you to also look into it. But unfortunately, universities don't accept the Duolingo, but VAMIA do accept Duolingo. So it's always advisable for you to read through the criteria to know what this particular university, and not just a university, the program. All right. There's a program that may require you to have 6.5, and some in that same university require you to have 6 minimum. So it depends on the program. But you don't actually need to write the international English language test if you already have TOEFL, or if you've written the SAT test. That's another reason. So, for example, if I want to come study a bachelor's program and I've already written the SAT test, SAT test, I've been talking about the SAT test here. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. So, and you have a pass mark, then you don't need to write the international English language test again. You don't even need to write the entrance exam in some universities once you have the SAT test, because the SAT test is kind of like similar to the um, entrance exam. So when you have the SAT test already, your score will be considered, and there will be no need for you to write the international English language test or even write the entrance exam. These are some of the ways you can come study without actually writing the international English language test. But it is very important if you are looking forward to come study a master's program, write the international English language test. If you're coming to study a master's program in a university, but if you are looking at bachelor programs, then please don't bother about the international English language test. You don't need to write it, you don't need to have it before applying, unless you want to apply to a bachelor degree in a university. For example, University of Eastern Finland has I think three now, bachelor programs, that if you want to apply to this program, then you obviously need an international English language test. But I'm talking about bachelor programs in the University of Applied Sciences. Please don't mix these two. It's very important. Nursing, business, engineering, IT, like so many programs that you can apply to without the international English language test. And you don't need any prior experience if you are applying for bachelor programs. You don't need to have any 2 years experience. The experience is for a master's program in a University of Applied Science. You don't need to have for example, if I want to apply or come study business, I don't need to pass economics in my advanced level like why I don't need to have economics. You know, the subject you have, they don't, like, they have no use. All they want to see is your upper secondary school certificate. That's the most important thing. So they don't, it's not like, oh, you can't study business because you, like, in your upper secondary school you didn't have a good mark or a good grade or a good score in mathematics. No, you'll be the one to to navigate the mathematics in your business studies, but they don't really like, it's not like one of the requirements, so you don't need to bother about it. Okay, all right. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope this answered your questions, because someone was asking, like, can you tell us some of the programs that do not require IT? I'm like, I can't tell you the programs because there are so many. So head to study info. All the University of Applied Sciences in Finland don't require you to um, write the international English language test. So you're good to go. You don't need to bother about it. But if you really want to study masters, I can tell you that there's a master's program in a university that does not require you to write. You have to when it comes to master's program in universities. But if your target is University of Applied Science, then you don't have to worry about proving your English language proficiency. Don't even bother about it. Okay, so I wish you an amazing week. The sun is shining in Finland. We're in summer officially. So enjoy wherever you are. If it's the rainy season, enjoy also. See you next week, and God bless you. Bye.